You guys have found another episode of the Cheesesteaks and Takes podcast show, the only multi-generational Philadelphia sports podcast. My name is Colby Marshall. This is post-game Sixers Knicks Eastern Conference semi. Sixers lose game 3, 108-94 as the Knicks go up 3-0 in the series. Boy, the boys are going to have to make history again in this postseason if they want to move on to the Eastern Conference Finals. Tyrese Maxey just looked gas, man. I mean, not even in the third and fourth quarter, but from the jump, his body language right now is just not where it needs to be. Obviously, he's frustrated. I don't think he's 100% either, which doesn't help. But playing every single minute of every single game, especially coming off of that emotional Boston series, just seems to be too taxing for Max right now and too taxing for the team. Before getting into the game and the Sixers, mostly I want to get into the Knicks a little bit and tip my hat again. Like, they won this game without one of their most important players, OG, and you could argue is their most important player next to Brunson, and they were still able to look like the same team. They really didn't miss a beat. It's a testament to their coaching staff, to how they have figured out their identity, how they run as a well-oiled machine from top to bottom across the roster. It's polar opposite from the Sixers, who, when are missing Embiid or missing a Maxey, or I would say mostly Embiid, because we've seen Maxey play most of the games. They have to kind of change their style and be a different team. And the Knicks, you almost forgot that OG was out if you were watching that game. Mikal Bridges stepped up. He's been playing well all series long. They needed him tonight or last night because it's Saturday now. And he dropped 23 points. Jalen Brunson continues to be a Sixer killer in the playoffs. Through 9 games, he's averaging 35 points, 7 assists, 55% shooting from the field. Those numbers probably went up after tonight's game or last night's game. This one was another game the Sixers could have won. Similar to game 2, where they had opportunities to go up bigger than what they did. In this game, they were up 9-0. Paul George came out on fire, was excellent in that first quarter. So when they started the game, it's like, oh yeah, this is the Sixers team that I expected to show up. This is a must-win game essentially for them, and they showed up, and they looked like they brought the energy. The crowd got behind them, and the Knicks just slowly crawled their way back in. But Paul George was really good in that first quarter. He hit some tough shots, but he's been hitting tough shots all playoffs. So it's like you expected him to kind of do it throughout the rest of the game, and he didn't do it. Tired legs must be getting to him too. The Knicks also did a good job on him. I thought they made every shot that he attempted really tough. Even in that first, he hit some tough shots. But I think that after the first quarter, they made it a point to really get into his jersey. They realized that he's most dangerous from the perimeter. And with his jump shot, he's not really going to drive by you unless you're a smaller defender or he has a wide open, lane to the basket. He's not a threat to drive right now. And they realized that and got into his jersey. Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, from the catch, they were there, and they made it really tough on him. And like I said, he's been making tough shots all playoffs, and it's not like he stopped shooting. I mean, he took 9 shots, at least 9 shots the rest of the game, but they just didn't fall. Joel Embiid, questionable going into this game. Listen, it is admirable, and you love the fact that your guy, your best player, franchise player, max contract guy, he wants to be out there. He's not 100%, but he still wants to be out there. He still wants to play. He still wants to compete. He still wants to help this team win. He knows how important he is to this team. And he puts his body on the line. He's been putting his body on the line for us in this playoffs, but he just didn't have it tonight. It was probably one of the worst games I've seen him play, and I hate to say that, but a lot of what the Knicks got was because of deficiencies that Embiid brought to the table tonight. In the first half, in the first quarter, he gave up 3 offensive rebound opportunities that turned to points for the Knicks. And just the drop coverage, you saw Jalen Brunson take advantage on a few wide open threes. They took advantage of Embiid's lack of mobility right now and lack of ability to help the Sixers on the glass. They dominated us in the rebounding category, dominated us. And second chance points, it's kind of like what we've seen all year. Embiid, whoever he was guarding, whether it was Cat, Mitchell Robinson, they were just able to continuously get second chance opportunities in this game for their team. And Bona and Drummond, they'll give up their fair share too, but I think it was glaring that Embiid just physically did not have it and probably should not have been out there on the court. You've heard Knicks fans say the Sixers are better without Joel Embiid. When Joel Embiid is right at 100%, the Sixers are a better team with him on the court. There's no doubt about that. When he looks like that, you are a better team without him if you're the Sixers. You would have been better off, I think, in that game without Joel Embiid. I hate to say it. Because when he's right, I'm not really afraid of anybody in the Eastern Conference. But when he's not, he gives up a lot. And we saw that last night. Tyrese Maxey, he looked just like in game one and in game two, he just looked gassed. He just looked tired. He just looks tired. And it wasn't even towards the third quarter or fourth quarter. From the jump, his body language is not what it usually is. If you watch Tyrese Maxey, he has a way about him. He's the sunshine of this team. He's the happy-go-lucky superstar, golden child. He just doesn't have that shine right now. He just doesn't have that glow about him. And you can just see it from his body language, from the way he moves around on defense. In the first quarter, you could just tell there's something off about him. And, he's battling through his injuries, and he's definitely not 100% either. And I give credit to him for doing what he's done and still trying to put his best foot forward for this team. But he's running on fumes, as is a lot of the guys on this team with the way that Nick Nurse, relies so heavily on the starters. He's running on absolute fumes right now. And it is so apparent. And even with that, he's still dropping, 8 for 12 shooting, 17 points, 7 assists. Definitely not a vintage Tyrese Maxey game, but man, if he just took more shots, you wonder what kind of, game he would have finished with. But it's like the Knicks are doing a good job on him. And, they do defer to Embiid a lot when he does play. This was a game that Embiid didn't play well on either end. So it didn't benefit them like it often did in the Boston series when he was killing Kata and Vucevic and Garza. It didn't benefit the Sixers when they fed him today or when they fed him last night in this game. And so you'd love to see Maxey take more shots. At the end of the day, he's your future. You'll live with him shooting the rock. And, if he takes 15 more shots in this game and he misses all 15, I'll live with that. I can live with that. I can't live with him shooting 8 for 12 though, and wondering, if he would have shot more, what would have happened. But you do give credit to the Knicks. I don't think Mikal Bridges is a Maxey stopper like he's being advertised right now amongst a lot of Knicks fans, but he's done well. He's done well on him, especially in game one. He did well on him today, but in game two, you saw Maxey get by him a bunch of times, and they're throwing two guys at him, like Maxey has been saying. I think that's really what the case has been, and forcing him to get the ball out of his hands and making somebody else beat them. But he doesn't have that juice right now, and it was interesting to see in the first half when Maxey was coming into the game. Embiid was at the line. Maxey checks in, and Embiid turns around after his free throw and says something to Tyrese Maxey. And Maxey kind of like rolls his eyes and is like, you could see his mouth. He goes, "All right, whatever." And it was just like, what's going on between them? I don't want to look too much into something like that because I know the relationship that they have and how close they are. But there does seem to be a disconnect right now with the Sixers amongst the players. When you look at like the body language and little things like that, you did see them a few minutes later in half court just having a conversation. Joel Embiid seemed to be explaining something, and Tyrese was just listening. So, like I said, I don't want to look too much into the little things like that, but there does seem, when you watch them play, when you watch game 3 last night, they don't seem to be, for the entire game at the very least, they don't seem to be connected as players. They don't seem to know exactly what their plan of attack is, and how could they? They've played together, this group of players, for how long? Not even 15 games this season, so they're still figuring out how to play with each other. And you forget that they start a rookie, VJ Edgecombe. This is his first time in the playoffs. So there's still a lot that they're figuring out. And it's frustrating because after that Boston series, I think our expectations went to a level that might not be realistic for this team at this point. But you still have that optimism because you've seen what a Maxey can do, especially against the Knicks. You've seen what Embiid did in that Boston series. And you still have that glimmer of hope that, hey, they could turn this around. They can, find a second wind and make a run. But it just hasn't been that case in games 1, 2, or 3. They haven't been able to overcome. It's just running on fumes. Just relying on 6 guys. They haven't been able to overcome not having enough pieces. And it's crazy to think about because you had Jared McCain on your bench. You had, you know, guys that you played during the year that you're not really relying on right now. And we are where we are at this point in the season. I don't want to harp on, Nick Nurse, you should be playing at Trent Wofford and Jabari Walker too much anymore at this point because the more I think about it, there has to be something that they're not doing to earn minutes on the court. Like, I can't imagine Nick Nurse ignoring them and not giving them instructions as far as like, hey, this is what you need to do to get on the court to play more minutes. Go do this and you'll play more. It seems like they're not doing what they need to do to get on the court. And it could be as simple as that. And that leads to Nick Nurse not trusting them. I don't know. That could be the case. It could not be the case. We saw 2 years ago, Nick Nurse use his bench. When you think about campaign, Nick Batum, who played in that Knicks series, off the bench for the Sixers. I mean, they went 8-9 deep relatively every single game. And yeah, like the Maxey and Tobias and Embiid when he played big minutes, but he still went to his bench. And it's clear that he just doesn't trust his bench. I've been a little hard on Nick Nurse. I don't know if I should continue to blame him for this. I mean, like I said, you had a Jared McCain and you traded him and you got nothing back. You're Daryl Morey. Mbona, you've done a poor job developing him, right? He was a second round draft pick that you should be using right now, and you're not. And so whether that's on him, whether it's whatever you want to call it, you're kind of failing your top guys here. When you think about Paul George, Embiid, and Maxey, yeah, you're paying them a lot. You're paying Paul George and Embiid a lot of money, and you could say, yeah, that takes away from the rest of the roster. But look, you had a roster. You had an opportunity to build a good bench, and you failed to do that. Like I said, you traded a guy away and got nothing back. So Daryl Morey, it's that McCain trade with the way he's playing now, especially for the Thunder. It's sickening and quite demoralizing watching this team right now. As a fan, going into Game 4, look, in the playoffs, every game people like to say is its own series in a way. So you kind of have to just try to get one. Can they maybe get a second win? If you could say anything about this team, it's that when their back has been against the wall, they've shown up. When you think about the playing game against the Magic, being down 3-1 against the Celtics, maybe they do get a second win. Maybe they're able to steal one, put a little bit of pressure on the Knicks. At the end of the day, the Knicks are your rival. You don't want them to sweep you on your home floor. Have some pride. Have some pride. Try to steal one. Go and get one in Game 4. Win on Mother's Day. Maxey, your mom's there almost every game. Go. I want to see him have a moment with his mom. A Mother's Day playoff moment. Maxey Mother's Day moment. I want to see that. Go get one in Game 4. Put some pressure on these Knicks. Make them go back to New York. Get them angry, just like you got Boston angry. You never know. I mean, listen, we've never seen a 3-0 come back. I'm not going to sit here and say that they have a chance to do that if they win on Sunday, but they got to start somewhere. And it doesn't seem like, they're going to be able to do that with the way that they look. They just look, like this is the end of the road. And the Knicks, if they're the championship contender they intend to be, they will finish us on Sunday. They should win that game even without a OG, who I think they should probably rest. Should Embiid play? I was thinking about this. Should Embiid play again in this series? I mean, listen, he looks hurt. He looks hurt. From the way that he looked in Game 3, I would say you should probably not play him again unless he feels better, unless that was just a bad game for him. But And listen, I could easily see him coming back on Sunday and flipping the script and playing a great game and drawing fouls on Cat and hitting his shots and working the glass the way he's supposed to and doing what he can on defense. I can see. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he turned it around. But after one day of rest, I don't see that happening. I thought this was going to be the game that we would see a different Embiid. I thought we would see the Embiid that we saw in Game 5 of the Boston series in this game. You know, but that didn't happen. So I I don't really know what to expect from him. Maybe they shouldn't play him if this is what we're gonna get. He just doesn't seem right. He doesn't seem right now. I do want to talk about the Knicks, Jalen Brunson. I mean, what else can you say? VJ Edgecombe, you can't play Brunson much better than he has. I think in these past 2 games, but Brunson had his way. He hits tough shots. There's that point in the second quarter when he went on that. The Knicks took a 6-point lead. He hit that big three, and you can't do much about that. He's a big shot, tough shot maker. And he's really the epitome of the Knicks, mentally tough, physically tough, at least for him on the offensive end. He's able to use his body really well, and he's the engine of this team. He summarizes what they do, what they're about, just that from a intangible standpoint, the toughness, the clutchness, uh, he makes up what the Knicks are about, and they're better than us. There's no doubt about that going into the series. We know that the Knicks are the better team. You just hope that the Sixers could, like I said, when you have a guy like Tyrese Maxey who can go off for 30 points, 40 points at any given game, and when he's on the court, you could argue he's one of the, if not the best player on the court. You just never know, and we haven't gotten enough out of him. We haven't gotten enough out of Embiid, out of Paul George to have a fighting chance in this series. Yeah, I mean, Kelly Oubre was probably their best player. Probably their best player. Black belt Kelly, probably their best player in this game. Hit some timely threes to keep them in the game. And then Quentin Grimes too. Like he you're about to give this guy $20 million a year. And what frustrates me the most about Quentin Grimes is that you look at this team and they're in dire need of another ball handler, especially particularly after the McCain trade. And Quentin Grimes, like, he's unable to give that to you. That's amazing to me as a guard on this team. Like, you're not able to at least develop. I don't think he was known for his hand. He wasn't known for his handle before he came here, but that's something you can work on, especially knowing like you're gonna need that from somebody else outside of Maxey and VJ. And he's not able to run point on this team. Like he's not able to contribute to giving Maxey a blow, to giving VJ a blow. And that's frustrating. That is infuriating, actually. Not even frustrating. That's infuriating. Like, I've seen enough of Quentin Grimes. I've seen enough of Quentin Grimes. And he looked totally just defeated on the bench at the end of this game. Another one where he just didn't play well. I mean, he had a couple threes in the fourth, but it's not enough. And it's just not enough. Like, you saw that play where he just lost the ball going out of bounds. Like, the fact he doesn't have a handle and he's not able to relieve pressure. And you saw Maxey, like, after, just like roll his head. It's like in the back of Maxey's mind, it's like, we traded Jared McCain, to rely on this guy. But I don't know. It's and like I said, every game is his own series. We could see a Quentin Grimes game in Game 4. I wouldn't put that past him. I know he has shot making ability. I know what he's able to do defensively at times on the glass. He helped us out a lot in the Boston series. But man, when you think about what you could have with McCain, we saw what McCain did in March Madness. You figure he's a big time player. You see what he's doing with the Thunder right now. Like, he's a player off the bench for the Thunder right now. He's arguably their best shooter, and they needed him in the past few games against the Lakers. It's unfortunate that this team is where it is, but it is where they are, and they have another opportunity. Like I said, when their backs have been against the wall, they've risen to the occasion, and they're going to have to do that again. But this is Colby Marshall of the Cheesesteaks and Takes podcast. Not much more else to say, but hey, I'm staying positive. I'm staying optimistic. Let's make history again. Let's go and do it again. We have no other choice. Maybe they can get a second win, right? Maybe Nick Nurse turns to a bench player, Justin Edwards. He has a Buddy Hield game 6 type of performance, and they're able to pull out a game 4 win and get back in this series and make things a little bit interesting, being in a place they were before being down 3-1. We'll see. Not likely, but hey, we've seen 3-0 deficits in hockey. That was broken. It's gonna happen in the NBA at some point, right? It's got to. I mean, we've seen teams get to a game 7, so it's not impossible. The Knicks aren't world beaters. I don't think they're a terrific all-time great team. I think they're a really, really good, tough team. Compared to this Eastern Conference, they're probably the best team remaining. But they could have a stinker. I wouldn't put it past them. Doesn't seem like they're gonna, but I wouldn't put it past them. So if they do, you got to take advantage, and that's what it comes down to. But we'll be back on hopefully get the rest of the fam on the next recap of Game 4. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow us on social media. Let us know what you think, and stay tuned for more content. Listen, let's go get one, and we'll take it from there. But this is Kobe Marshall signing off of Cheesesteaks and Takes. Talk to you guys soon. Take it easy.